What if I told you that muscle loss after 70 isn't inevitable? Here's what scares me. 50% of people over 80 have sarcopenia, severe muscle loss that steals independence. Most doctors focus on bone density, but there's a silent muscle crisis happening right now. New research shows 5 specific spices can activate the same pathways that exercise does. The surprising part? The most powerful one isn't what you'd expect. I'm going to share 5 spices that research proves can address each of these problems. But there's a catch. They work together, not alone. And most people use them completely wrong. I'll show you the exact amounts that worked in clinical studies, plus one simple daily ritual that makes everything work 2,000% better. Stay with me, because number 2 is so unexpected that even researchers were shocked by what it does. Let's start with the foundation. Number 5 is turmeric. You've probably heard about turmeric, but do you know why it matters for muscle? When you're over 70, your body exists in what scientists call a chronic inflammatory state. Your immune system is always slightly activated. It releases proteins called cytokines, specifically IL-6 and TNF-alpha, that circulate in your blood. These inflammatory molecules directly interfere with muscle protein synthesis. Think of inflammation like static on a radio. It disrupts the signals your body needs to build and maintain muscle. Turmeric contains curcumin, a compound that blocks the master switch for inflammation called NF-kappa B. In a systematic review of 15 clinical trials, researchers found that curcumin supplementation significantly improved muscle health in older adults. Elite male footballers who took 1,400 milligrams of curcumin daily showed reduced muscle soreness and lower inflammation markers 64 hours after intense physical activity compared to those who didn't take it. Here's your action step. Add 1/2 to 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder to your daily routine. You can mix it into scrambled eggs, add it to soup, blend it into a smoothie, or make golden milk by mixing it with warm milk and a bit of honey. The key is consistency. Studies show benefits appear after 8 to 12 weeks of daily use. But turmeric alone has a critical flaw. If you thought turmeric was powerful, wait until you hear what makes it actually work. Number 4 is black pepper, and this changes everything. Here's the problem with turmeric. Your liver sees curcumin as a foreign compound and immediately breaks it down. Within an hour, most of it's gone from your bloodstream. You're getting maybe 1% of what you swallow. This is called poor bioavailability. For years, scientists knew curcumin worked in test tubes, but couldn't figure out why people taking it showed minimal results. Then researchers discovered piperine, the active compound in black pepper. Piperine does something remarkable. It inhibits the liver enzymes that break down curcumin. In a landmark human study, taking just 20 milligrams of piperine with curcumin increased blood levels of curcumin by 2,000%. That's not 20% or 200%. That's 2,000%. Suddenly, curcumin could stay in your system long enough to work. But piperine doesn't just help turmeric. Research shows it enhances absorption of beta-carotene by 60%, selenium, B vitamins, and even CoQ10 by 30%. It works by stimulating digestive enzymes in your pancreas and changing the structure of your intestinal wall to allow more nutrients through. For older adults who often have reduced digestive capacity, this is critical. Here's what to do. Add a few cracks of fresh black pepper to any meal containing turmeric. Just 1/4 teaspoon is enough. If you're taking supplements, look for formulations that already include piperine or black pepper extract. This simple combination turns turmeric from barely helpful to genuinely therapeutic. The benefit? You're not just reducing inflammation. You're maximizing every nutrient you consume. Better protein absorption means better muscle building. Better vitamin absorption means better energy. This is the multiplier effect your body needs after 60. If you think this combination was impressive, number 3 addresses the hidden reason many seniors can't build muscle no matter what they eat. Number 3 is ginger, and it solves the recovery problem. After 60, something frustrating happens. You do physical activity, even gentle exercise, and you're sore for days. This isn't normal muscle soreness. It's delayed onset muscle soreness, or DOMS, caused by microscopic tears in muscle fibers and the inflammatory response that follows. The pain makes you avoid movement. Less movement means more muscle loss. It's a vicious cycle. Here's where ginger comes in. Ginger contains compounds called gingerols and shogols that work similarly to non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, but without the side effects. They block enzymes called COX2 and 5 lipoxygenase that produce inflammatory compounds in your body. In a double-blind study, participants consumed 2 grams of ginger daily for 11 days, then performed exercises designed to cause muscle soreness. Those who took ginger experienced 23 to 25% less muscle pain 24 hours after exercise compared to the placebo group. Another study with female athletes found that 3 grams of ginger daily for 6 weeks significantly reduced muscle soreness ratings. But ginger does more than reduce pain. It lowers IL-6, the same inflammatory marker we talked about earlier. In one study, women taking ginger supplements showed significantly lower muscle soreness and improved recovery compared to those who didn't. This means you can stay active more consistently, and consistent activity is what maintains muscle. Here's your protocol. Take 2 grams of fresh ginger daily. That's about a 1-inch piece of ginger root. You can grate it into tea, add it to stir-fries, blend it into smoothies, or take it as a supplement. For best results, start taking it before you exercise, not after pain begins. Studies showed ginger works preventively, reducing the inflammatory response before it peaks. The benefit is clear. Less pain means more movement. More movement means better muscle maintenance. You break the cycle that traps so many older adults in progressive weakness. But here's what most people don't realize. Even with reduced inflammation and better nutrient absorption, if this one metabolic factor is off, your muscles can't use the nutrients you're giving them. Number 2 fixes this, and it's hiding in plain sight in your spice cabinet. Number 2 is cinnamon, and it's the metabolic key. As you age, your cells become less responsive to insulin. This is called insulin resistance. Insulin is the hormone that unlocks your muscle cells and lets glucose, amino acids, and other nutrients inside. When insulin stops working properly, it's like having a key that doesn't quite fit the lock anymore. Nutrients stay in your bloodstream instead of getting into muscles where they're needed for growth and repair. Insulin resistance doesn't just lead to diabetes, it directly impairs muscle protein synthesis. Studies show that older adults with insulin resistance build 40% less muscle from the same amount of protein compared to those with good insulin sensitivity. This is huge. You could be eating enough protein but still losing muscle because your cells can't use it. Cinnamon contains compounds that mimic insulin's effects. In a study published in Diabetes Care, people with type 2 diabetes who consumed 1 to 6 grams of cinnamon daily for 40 days saw their fasting blood glucose drop by 18 to 29%. But more importantly, their insulin sensitivity improved. Cinnamon activates insulin receptors, enhances glucose transporter proteins, and activates an enzyme called AMPK that regulates energy metabolism in muscle cells. In another study, healthy volunteers who took 3 grams of cinnamon daily for 2 weeks showed significantly improved insulin sensitivity and reduced blood glucose responses to meals. The effects appeared within 1 day and continued improving over 2 weeks. Here's your action. Add 1/2 to 1 teaspoon of cinnamon daily. You can sprinkle it on oatmeal, stir it into coffee, add it to yogurt, or mix it into protein shakes. Use Ceylon cinnamon if possible, as it has lower levels of a compound called coumarin that can affect the liver in very high doses. But at these amounts, regular cinnamon is perfectly safe. The benefit? Your muscles become better at using glucose for energy and amino acids for building new tissue. This is the metabolic foundation that makes protein intake actually work. Without good insulin sensitivity, you're building a house on sand. Now here's the surprise. The last spice isn't about building muscle at all. It's about protecting what you have. And it works through a mechanism so powerful that it's being studied for obesity, heart disease, and metabolic syndrome. Number 1 is cayenne pepper, and it's your metabolic guardian. Here's what happens as you age. Your metabolism slows down, you burn fewer calories at rest, fat accumulates more easily, especially around your organs. Cayenne pepper contains capsaicin, the compound that makes it hot. Capsaicin activates receptors in your body called TVRP1 that trigger a process called thermogenesis. Your body literally produces heat by burning calories. Research shows capsaicin increases energy expenditure by activating brown fat, a special type of fat tissue that burns calories to generate warmth. In a 12-week study, participants taking 4 milligrams of capsaicin daily experienced significant reductions in body fat percentage without losing muscle mass. Another study found that people who consumed meals with cayenne pepper burned 51% more calories during that meal compared to those who didn't. The effect is modest, but consistent. Over time, it adds up. But capsaicin does something else critical. It helps preserve lean muscle mass during weight loss. When most people lose weight, they lose both fat and muscle. Studies show that capsaicin supplementation during caloric restriction preferentially reduces fat while protecting muscle tissue. This is exactly what older adults need. You want to lose the inflammatory fat, not the precious muscle. Here's how to use it. Start with just a pinch of cayenne pepper added to meals. You can sprinkle it on eggs, add it to soups, mix it into sauces, or even add a tiny amount to dark chocolate for a spicy treat. If you're not used to spicy food, start very small and build tolerance gradually. Studies use doses equivalent to about 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon daily, but even smaller amounts provide benefits. The benefit is metabolic protection. You're burning more calories at rest, reducing inflammatory fat accumulation, and protecting lean muscle tissue. This is the guardian that keeps your metabolism from collapsing as you age. But remember, spices support muscle health. They don't replace the fundamentals. You still need adequate protein, at least 1 to 1.2 grams per kilogram of body weight daily. That's about 80 grams for someone weighing 165 pounds. You still need resistance exercise, even light body weight movements, at least 3 times per week. And you need adequate sleep, 7 to 8 hours, when your body actually repairs and builds muscle tissue. The research is clear. These aren't folk remedies or wishful thinking. These are compounds with documented effects on inflammation, metabolism, nutrient absorption, and muscle health in clinical studies. Scientists understand the mechanisms. They know which receptors they activate, which enzymes they inhibit, which pathways they enhance. Your independence after 60 depends on maintaining muscle mass and strength. Sarcopenia isn't inevitable. It's not something you just accept. With the right nutritional strategy, including these 5 research-backed spices, combined with adequate protein and regular movement, you can slow and even reverse age-related muscle loss. Take action today. Check your spice cabinet. You probably already have most of these. Start with just 1. Add turmeric to your morning eggs. See how you feel. Then add another. Build the habit. Your 70-year-old self, your 80-year-old self will thank you for starting now. If you found this helpful, subscribe and write your age in the comments. When we see they're 67 or they're 71, it helps us create content that's relevant to you. We're building a community of people who refuse to accept decline as inevitable. Educational content, not a substitute for medical advice. Discuss with a doctor for chronic conditions or medications.